Hi everyone, this is your Supple Strength 101, an entry-level Supple Strength class. It's a little bit more heavy on the Pilates rather than using any of the strenuous yoga stretches. So if you haven't done either disciplines before, yoga or Pilates, this is suitable for you. Also, of course, if you want to keep it more of a low level as well. So let's get started. We're going to roll the shoulders backwards and forwards, turn through the head, waking up those delicate neck muscles, and we'll bend the knees and circle the feet around just to wake the body up to start with. Get the mind and body connected. We're going to do a couple of monkey swings. So press the feet down into the floor, about shoulder width apart. You need to zip up your tummy muscles, and when we bend the knees, don't let them crash together. So breathe in, lift the arms up, breathe out, bend the knees, drop your bottom, sway the arms back and forth, and breathe in to lift up tall again, and again. Let's have some nice big breaths. Wake the lungs up, fill the body with oxygen. Try not to arch your back as you lift up, just stand tall. So we're bouncing down, bending the knees, warming up the legs. One more time. Drop the arms by your sides now, and just gently twist from side to side. There we go. So I want to go through the Pilates principles briefly for you. If you're well versed with these, then feel free to forward on through. But otherwise, if you're not and you need a reminder, let's take those heels directly underneath those hip bones. And for some, that's narrower than you usually perceive. So lengthen the legs, try not to lock the knees. Your pelvis needs to be neutral. So I want you to find your pubic bone and find your hip bones. And as you look down, those 3 points should make an arrow pointing to the floor. And that will put your back in the most optimal position, your neutral spine, if you will. Another way of thinking about it is a bucket full of water. If you tip your bucket forwards, the water will spill out the front. Tip it backwards, equally the water will spill out the back. Settle the pelvis in the middle so you don't spill any water at all. And then that's your neutral spine. Try and maintain that throughout most of the moves, not all of them, but most of them. And that's what you need to be thinking about. Now, moving on to the core connection, those tummy muscles in between the ribs and the hips and in between those two hip bones, just underneath the belly button. Draw that area in, shrinking through the waist as if you were doing up a freshly washed pair of jeans. Feel a firmness, a connection and a tension as you're drawing in. Another way of thinking about it is if you were going to the toilet, try and stop yourself mid-flow. Draw those tummy muscles in. Keep the rib cage down. When the arms go up, if the arms go up, the chest shouldn't follow. Keep the chest down, keep that connection. And those shoulders should not, again, when the arms go up, the neck shouldn't lift the shoulders up at all. Try and keep that neck as long as possible. Finally, we'll go through the breathing. One hand on your lower tummy, one hand on the upper chest. As you breathe in, direct the air to the chest. Breathe in through the nose. Feel the chest expand slightly. Breathe out. Chest deflates down. There should be no change in the lower hand though, because you want to keep those core muscles switched on. Close the eyes if you wish, and just practice that for a moment. Breathe in through the nose. Inflate the chest. Keep the core constant. Breathe out through the mouth. A couple more times, and as you breathe, allow a connection to come between mind and body. Try and center yourself. Feel the strength in the core, but keep breathing. Okay, release the arms. Give the shoulders a little bit of a wiggle just to wake up. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the back of the mat. We're going to do a few roll downs to warm up through the spine. This is a Pilates move, and then we'll go into some yoga stretches when we get to the floor. So heels directly underneath the hip bones and your core muscles are switched on. Breathe in at the top. Exhale, drop the chin to the chest, drop the arms and shoulders forwards. Slowly peel forwards. Keep the tummy scooped. Relax the arms. Imagine you're a piece of wallpaper coming unstuck and slowly peeling away from the wall. Now your legs might get a little tight. Just soften the knees if they do. And don't worry if you can't reach the floor. It's not a challenge. Let's restart. Make sure you pull the tummy muscles up. Straighten the legs when it's comfy and slowly rebuild the spine. In your mind, I want you to rebuild each section of the vertebrae like bricks of Lego. Let the shoulders melt and the head comes up last. Same again. Breathe in, exhale, chin to chest. Exactly the same again. We repeat this in an attempt to stretch out the spine, but also bring our mind's connection to the spine a little closer. Core muscles zipped up, bend the knees if you need to. And restack. Utilising those tummy muscles, you could imagine that the tummy muscles are pushing the spine up from inside the body. Rebuild the spine, the rib cage, shoulders melt down, head up last. Breathe in at the top. Exhale, chin to chest. Remember to keep breathing naturally in through the nose and out through the mouth, aiming to keep the core muscles switched on. Remember to relax the arms all the way to the floor, and the knees if you need to. And restack. Hopefully you can sense that that stretch is getting a little longer each time. We're going to add on this time round. So coming back up to tall, we'll breathe in to prepare. Exhale, chin to chest, collapse forwards. Tummy scooped up, relax the arms. Keep breathing. This time we're going to take hands and knees to the floor. I'd like you to bring your right foot forwards. Keep the knee down if you want to, that's a beginner level. If you feel it's suitable and you can keep your bottom low, then take the knee up off the floor behind you. Left hand to the floor next to the right foot. Excuse my back as we twist chest to thigh, lifting the right fingers up to the ceiling. Of course, if that's too wobbly, you can put the knee down behind you. That'll enable you to twist better. And if the shoulder and neck struggle, you can always drop the hand behind your back whenever we do this move. Everyone pop that knee down and untwist. You're going to make a quarter turn to the left, facing the long edge of your mat. Stretch that right leg out. Slide the right hand down the leg up and over with the left arm. Keeping the shoulder away from the ear is your modification if you've got any neck or shoulder problems. You want to reach over to the right, stretching through the side of the body and down through the inner thigh. Core muscles in. Avoid allowing yourself to topple forwards with this one. Release, come back. You're going to turn to the left again, bringing yourself onto all fours. Curl the toes under, let's downward facing dog. As you exhale, lift the knees up, push the bottom up to the sky, and press your chest towards the toes. For some that might mean bending the knees a little, but don't worry, you can work on lengthening through the legs in time. Push the hands into the floor, spread your shoulders wide, and breath by breath, try and press your chest just a little closer towards your toes. If you want to, you can walk the heels up and down just to warm the legs up a little bit more as well, and entice a little bit more of a stretch down the calf. But don't force it, don't be fierce, we're still warming up. And melt the knees down to the floor. We're going to walk the hands back to the knees now. Gently come back up to standing. So lift the knees and bottom up, put the heels down, chin to chest, make sure your core muscles are switched on, slowly restack up to standing. Melt the shoulders down and head up last. We're going to take a step forward to bring us towards the centre of the mat. So we're going to go into a chair now. Feet and knees stay hip distance apart. If you've got any knee problems, you can take both together, but don't have feet apart and let the knees crash, okay? So hip distance apart if you can, core muscles are switched on. We're going to do a chair. Take the hands to the hips, breathe in to prepare. As you exhale, sit your bottom back, send those hips backwards, but keep the body in a nice straight line, so you've got a Z kind of bending going on through the body. All of your weight should be in your heels, so tap those toes maybe. If you feel you are strong enough through the arms, bring them up so they're in line with the body. They shouldn't be in front of you. Pin those shoulders back, core muscles in, keep that back nice and straight. Your weight is still in your heels. If it becomes too much for the arms, you can bring them down to prayer or hands to your hips, you decide. But breathe in and breathe out. Stay strong through those legs, keep your bottom dropping as much as you can. Okay, breathe in here. As you breathe out, push the feet down, fingers go up to the sky if they're lifted, and release down. We're going to go into a balance now. I'd like you to plug your right foot into the floor. Core muscles switched on, step the left foot back. Spread your arms out to the side, keep those shoulders down. Gently float that back foot, squeeze your bottom, and allow yourself to tip forwards, keeping the leg in line. You might want to soften that standing knee. Only go as far as you are confident with. I want you to stay on one foot for as long as you possibly can. Keep the back of the neck nice and long, and breathe. Gently stand yourself tall, stay in control. Okay, give that leg a little shake. We're going to do the other side, so plug the foot into the floor, lengthen up, switch on, focus the eyes forwards, stretch your arms out, squeeze your bottom, and tilt forwards. Remember to keep crown to toes in line. However far you go, you might want to soften the standing knee. Keep the neck nice and long, and keep breathing. And stand tall and release. Give the leg a little shake. We're going to roll ourselves back down into the floor, do that lunge twist, and again pose for the left side. So heels underneath the hips, core muscles are switched on. We'll breathe in at the top. As you exhale, drop the chin to the chest, drop the arms and shoulders forward, slowly drop yourself down, stretching out through the back, down through the back of the legs. Keep breathing, taking the hands and knees down to the floor. We're going to bring the left foot forwards now. Again, I'm going to turn away from my screen. Keep the knee down if you need to. Lift the knee up if you're able, but your bottom must be quite low. Then twist chest to thigh so your left fingers are reaching up to the ceiling. Of course, that hand can drop down if you need to for the modification. Keep breathing. Nice long twist. Okay, let's take that hand and knee down. Fingers lifted. You're going to turn a quarter turn to the right. Keep that left leg stretched out. Slide the left hand down, up and over with the right arm. Nice long stretch. Your modification takes the hand across the chest. Put shoulder away from the ear. Core muscles switched on to help secure you. Okay, use your core muscles to bring you upright. We're going to turn back to the left. Push your bottom back to your heels and have a little rest with a child's pose. Okay, so that's our warm-up done. We're going to go into some Pilates moves now. I'm just going to grab my pillow here. You might want to take a pillow just to pop underneath your head. It helps to keep the neck nice and long. Actually, I'm going to change my camera angle and bring you in a little bit closer. See you later. Okay, so here we are down on the floor. I'd like you to lay yourself down on your back, head resting on your pillow. Remember we talked about the pelvis? You need to find neutral again. This time I want you to imagine you've got a tray of drinks laying across your pelvis. Don't tilt the pelvis forwards or backwards, side to side, otherwise you'll spill your drinks. Keep them level. Your knees need to be at a right angle. Okay, that's really important. So that's going to determine where your foot goes to the floor. And that's where your feet have to come back to each and every time. So pelvis in neutral, knees bent at a right angle, core muscles switched on, find that tension again, zipping up with the pelvic floor a little as well. And your fingertips, beginners especially, need to put the fingers on those hip bones. Tuck your chin under, keep the back of the neck nice and long. So you're all set up now. Let's breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, gently float one foot off the floor. Keep the knee at a right angle, hover the knee above the hip. Breathe in, melt the foot back to the starting place. Breathe out, pick the other foot up, hover the knee. Same thing. Keep repeating that, drawing each leg back and forth, slowly and smoothly. Being mindful to keep that natural little curve to your back. Keep the pelvis still. Tummy muscles stay switched on all the way through, about a third of the way in. Don't squeeze too hard. And remember to keep breathing. Out as you float, breathe in to melt down. Now bring your focus to your fingertips. As you swap from one foot to the other, do you find your pelvis tilting? It's possible. You might be pressing the feet into the floor, which is reacting through the pelvis. What we need to do is get the core muscles to draw in and keep the pelvis still. If you keep the feet light on the floor, you might be able to feel that power in your belly button. So stay with this and work on balancing and settling the pelvis if your pelvis is still tilting. For those who have found that balancing act in the core already, you can go to two legs. To do this, we breathe out to float one leg, breathe in, prepare, draw on the tummy muscles to pair down, float the other leg without there being a reaction through the torso. You breathe in to take the first foot and the second foot down. You breathe out to float the second foot first this time. Breathe in, prepare, bear down the tummy muscles as you breathe out, float the other leg without there being a jolt. Let me show you what goes wrong sometimes. The leg goes up. If you're not secure, the body jolts according to the weight of the extra leg being lifted, and the back is arching. That's no good. Tummy muscles are domed up, they're not doing anything. You need to stay in neutral. What you can do, if you find that's really troublesome, you can go in what's called imprint. You breathe out to float one leg, breathe in, prepare, breathe out, tilt the pelvis backwards slightly so it flattens into the floor. This makes the tummy muscles work that little bit harder, and you're able to float the second leg without there being that jolt. But you're an imprint, you're flat to the floor. And breathe in to go down and down. Same on the next one, breathe out to float, breathe in, prepare, breathe out, flatten into the floor and float. That's a little halfway house. You are eventually working towards staying in neutral throughout. But if you're not quite there yet, you can use that imprint as a halfway house. So we'll just do a couple more then. Breathe out to float, breathe in, prepare, breathe out to float. If you've got that mastered, you can cross the arms over the chest. That will make it just that little bit more difficult. What you don't want to do is press the arms into the floor, otherwise they will do what your core muscles should be doing. So just be mindful of not using the arms. Okay, we're going to stretch long then. Up the arms, down for the toes. Now you can arch and allow those tummy muscles to get that little bit of a stretch. Okay, we're going to go into the bridge next. No pillow for this one as we're lifting our pelvis and back off the floor. Knees are still bent, but bring them back. You want to feel as if your heels are underneath your knees but still in line with your hip bones. Core muscles are switched on with your back in neutral, and this time your hands can rest on the floor. Going to go through the basic bridge and then heels and toes. So core muscles are switched on. Let's breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, tilt the pelvis backwards, squash the back into the floor. Tighten the tummy muscles to lift the pelvis, and as if it was a chain of pearls, lift each link off the spine, one at a time, up off the floor until you come to rest on your shoulders. You are aiming for a straight line. Apologies, you can't see very well with my black clothing, but there's a straight line between ribs and thighs, as opposed to a little corner and a kink here. We're going to roll down, tighten the tummy muscles to roll the spine back down into the floor, one vertebrae at a time, and then tilt the pelvis back to neutral. We're going to repeat that. Breathe out, tilt back, peel up, and breathe in to go down. Avoid clenching your bottom too much to peel up and down. You want to think about tightening the muscles in the pelvis, and the pelvis picking up, and then lifting the rest of the spine like a little necklace, chain of links. And then breathe in all the way down, exactly the same. Tighten the tummy muscles to roll back down, as opposed to squeezing the bottom of the thighs and pushing from below. So this brings a better focus to your spine with the mind, allows the mind to see the spine better, communicate better with the spine. Stay with that level if you wish. Adding on slightly further, this time I want you to lift the heels off the floor. Breathe in, prepare. As you breathe out, tilt back. You might find you can squash your back into the floor better and peel up a little better, just because of the positioning of the muscles. All the way up and all the way down. This time, press the heels into the floor, lift the toes, breathe out, tilt back. A little bit more tricky this time to peel the spine in the same way, all the way up and all the way down. Remember to revert to neutral at the bottom. Same again, heels, tilt back, peel up, squeeze the core muscles, lifting up to that straight line, breathing in to go down. And one more time with the toes off the floor. You can make it more difficult if you wish by crossing the arms over the chest, but just take care. You don't want to squeeze your bottom too hard. The next level would be the heel of one foot down, the ball of the other foot down. Tilt back, peel up, and go down. Rolling smoothly, squeezing the core muscles, swap those feet over, so the other heel is down, the other ball of the foot is down, and roll down. Okay, if you'd like to work on that one, pause the video and carry on your own. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Let's hug the legs into the chest initially, and I just want you to rock from side to side to massage your back into the floor. Okay, then we're going to stretch out and roll over onto one side. Some people like to have a pillow in between head and shoulder. That's completely up to you. But you're in a very straight line. This is called side kick. So, nice and straight. You can perhaps use the edge of your mat to help you stay straight. If this is troublesome, you can bend the elbow or take the arm in front and use a plumper cushion, because you want to make sure the back of the neck is nice and long. Okay? So adjust that as you need to. Now we're going to balance on the thinnest part of your body. Tummy muscles in, point the toes for the other end of the room, and those legs should naturally float away from the floor. Try not to lift them, don't push your hips down and lift the legs, that will hurt. You just want to lengthen and float the legs. Core muscles in. If you find yourself wobbly, use your hand in front, otherwise the hand can go on the thigh. Now if you are stable here, you can add on by waving the top arm. Alternatively, you can swim the feet, only once the hand is balanced on the thigh. Keep practicing that. I'm going to change my position here and show you a couple of no-nos with this move. So take care with this move. If your back is very reactive, what can happen is the back can overdo things. Send your feet behind you. See how the hips have pulled forwards? The feet are actually behind me. This means my back's doing all of the work. The tummy muscles are stretched and not doing anything. Equally, a brain can say, no, we're a bit wider back there. Let's lean on the bottom. We're wider back there. It's easier. This means the feet come forward. This is putting your back under a lot of strain. The core muscles aren't really doing much. So do make sure as best as you can, even if you end up getting someone else to double check, that you are in a nice long straight line. Okay, I'd like you to melt down from there. Now hug the legs into the chest. Okay, before we do the other side, we're going to do a move called the roll up. So you're sitting towards the front edge of your mat. Legs can be bent or straight, it's completely up to you. Somebody who has longer legs maybe than a body, you're going to find this one easier because your longer legs will be heavier than somebody who's got short legs. Somebody who's apple shaped maybe, you might find this one tricky. So this one's very determined by body shape. Core muscles are switched on. Feel free to bend the legs if you find that's better for you. And keep your shoulders down. We're going to breathe in to prepare. As you exhale, you're going to sink down into your tailbone. Now how far you go is determined by your experience and strength. But you are curling, the feet have got to stay on the floor. Core muscles in, hollowed out. Draw on those tummy muscles to pull yourself forwards. And then we go again. Remember to keep breathing, keep the shoulders dropped down, tuck your bottom under, hollow out the tummy. And pull yourself forwards. Bit by bit, you can go lower and lower as you feel confident. If you do go all the way to the floor though, try not to arch your back, and you must be able to smoothly float yourself up. You do trouble with this one, as you've just found. I caught the wall behind me. Sink down, same again. So as I said, it's fine to go down to the floor, just don't allow yourself to throw the arms to bring you back up. And again. If you're really struggling with this one, you can put a small rolled up towel just behind you and allow yourself to soften into that towel instead of trying to get the spine to the floor. Again, it's another one of those little halfway houses. You are aiming eventually to get your back to the floor, but if you need to use that little halfway house, then do so. And one more word of warning, try not to reach forwards, don't crunch up through the chest, keep the chest nice and open, elbows down. Think about leading with the forehead, not with the arms, and that will help. Okay, we're going to make this one the last one. And then we're going to do the side kick on the other side then. So laying out nice and straight, think of all those watch points that I suggested and highlighted earlier. Pillow in between ear and shoulder if you find that's more comfy. You need to be in a very straight line, checking that bottom hand doesn't grip the floor. Core muscles in. As you exhale, lengthen the legs. If you're able to, melt the hand on the thigh. So if you do wobble, that's fine. Tummy muscles have got to do all of the balancing though. If you are stable and you're certain you're in a very straight line, the feet haven't gone behind or in front, then you can add on. With the arm, add on, or of course you can swing the legs. Do keep the legs straight with this one. This one is much more difficult. Just added it in for those in case you wanted to do it. But keep breathing. Stay in that straight line, maintain that balance, keep your core muscles switched on, bottom tucked under. Okay, last one and melt down. Hug the legs into the chest. Okay, so we're going to go onto our back now. We're going to do a very classic Pilates move called the 100. So this is where you have one or both legs in the air. You pump your arms very close to your thighs, very close to the floor but not touching. And then you do some strange breathing, shall we say. You sniff in 5 times, you blow out 5 times. You have to do the whole thing together. It's challenging your multitasking abilities and your coordination. So the body's not allowed to bounce around while you bounce the arms. The core muscles have got to stay strong to keep the legs in the air with the back in neutral. Of course, if you want that halfway house, flatten the back. Tilt the pelvis backwards. Squeeze it into the floor. That will make the tummy muscles work just that little bit harder. And if you need to, if you would prefer to stay with the single leg version that we practiced earlier, when I count to 50, I'd like you to swap the legs over. Whereas if you're comfortable with 2 legs in the air, you're certain your core is maintained, then just keep with the 2 legs in the air. So choose a 1 leg or 2 leg version now. Core muscles in. Those who are experienced, if you want to do that little head and shoulders up add on, if you know it, then feel free to do so. Do make sure the shoulders are well clear of the floor and the chin is propped up onto the chest. I'm going to keep my head and shoulders down though. Remember, the arms are pumping very close to the thighs, but they're not touching the floor. So legs in place, back in neutral or imprint if you've chosen. Core muscles are switched on, arms are in place. Get ready to sniff in through the nose after 3, 2, 1. Sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5, blow, 2, 3, 4, 5. 20. 30. 40, sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 50, sniff, 2, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 60, keep the core engaged, out, 2, 3, 4, 70, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 80, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 90, last set, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and hug the legs into the chest and rock from side to side. How did you find that one, beginners? I hope that went okay for you. So, we're going to roll onto our front now and do a back extension. Forehead can go on the edge of that pillow or forehead to the floor, your choice. Elbows nice and wide out to the side and the hands on the floor. So elbows and shoulders at a right angle. Don't be fearful and bring the arms in here, otherwise you're going to draw your shoulders up to your ears. You do need to be able to draw those shoulders wide. Chin tucked under, you're keeping your neck straight and long all the time. The toes are flattened. The legs should be unaffected by this move. So concentrate everything on the lower back and up. Core muscles are switched on. So zip up the pelvic floor as well. We'll breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, slide the shoulders away from the ears. Lengthen through the neck. Gently force the chest to float up as you ignite the lower back. Breathe in and melt down. Keep the belly button zipped up though. Breathe out. Same again. Draw the shoulders down, ignite the lower back. Relax those arms, relax those feet. It's just the lower back that's forcing the chest to lift. Breathe in to melt down. Breathe out to connect again. So if you're a beginner, you might want to keep those arms resting on the floor. Somebody more experienced, take the fingertips to the temples. Allow your arms to float with the chest. Notice how the chin stays tucked under. My legs are not springing into action and those feet stay down on the floor. I'm going to give you one more level here for the stronger ones. As you float up, stretch your arms out to the side. As you breathe in and come down, bend the elbows, bring the fingers back to the temples, rest the elbows on the floor. Breathe out, tighten into the lower back, stretch and lengthen again. Still with those feet relaxed and flattened down, thighs not jumping into action as you ignite to lift. Keep it smooth, keep it soft. We'll make this one the last one. Now you can relax the core. We're going to come up onto all fours. Tuck the bottom and chin under. Lengthen through the spine, as we always do when we've done a back extension. And now push your bottom back to your heels. Let your arms stretch in front. Keep pulling on the fingers, pulling on the floor to stretch them as far in front as possible. Just to stretch into the ribs and down into the waist. Okay, we're going to go on to our backs. One more move. This is called the leg cycle, or the leg back cycle I should say. So your hands this time go underneath your bottom, and we're going to cycle the legs backwards. So core muscles switched on. You should find with your hands just underneath your bottom, your back is slightly flattened into the floor. That's where it needs to stay. So choose one leg, bring the knee in towards the body. Core muscles are switched on, pressing your back down into the floor. We'll breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, straighten the legs, slide it across the floor. Squeeze your tummy, lift that straight leg all the way up. Breathe in to bend. Slide forwards, breathe out, lift the straight leg. You should feel some tension through the core muscles to lift that straight leg. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Back of the neck long. You can use your pillow if you want to, but we're just going to cycle backwards. Core muscles in, lifting the leg up. A couple more times. Okay. Melt that foot down, make sure the heel's in line with the hip bone, and we'll go straight into the other side. So breathe in. Breathe out, straighten forward, squeeze the tummy, lift the straight leg. Breathe into bend. Do try and allow that foot to slide across the floor. Lift the leg up, keep it as straight as you possibly can for as long as you can, bringing that straight leg as far back as you can. If you bring a bent leg back, it's much easier. The abs do not have to work quite so hard if you bring a bent leg back. Last one. Now foot down. Okay, and release. Let's give yourselves a nice long stretch. Before we stretch, we have our planks. So it's up to you what level of plank you do. I'm going to start you at the base level and just keep adding on until I come up to the top. And you need to choose the level that suits you best. The very easiest level, most suitable for those who have any back issues or neck issues, is you're going to lay completely flat, resting your forehead on the back of the fingernails. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, core muscles in, and just lift the belly as much as you can, as if the floor underneath your belly was too hot, and you're just drawing your tummy muscles in. So that might be quite fierce, quite tight. Can you control the shoulders and keep them down away from the ears? That's your lowest level. Stay with that level if you need to. Remember to keep breathing. The next level up, you bring your elbows underneath the shoulders, core muscles in, and you lift your hips off the floor. Keep the neck nice and long, shoulders broad. Next level up will be to lift the thighs off the floor, so you're on your knees. Back is nice and straight. Take care that you don't sag in your back, otherwise your core muscles are going to struggle. So keep the bottom tucked under. Keep yourself nice and strong. Next level up would of course be to come onto your toes. And if you don't want to be on your elbows, of course, you can be on your hands and knees. Back of the neck nice and long, core muscles in. Or you can be on your toes and hands. You choose the level that suits you best. Keep breathing, keep the back of the neck nice and long. Do take a rest whenever you need to. Perfect rest would be a child's pose. Let's hold it for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Melt the knees down, push your body back to your heels, and have a well-earned rest. So we're going to go into our stretches now. Bring yourself back up onto all fours, and I'd like you to bring your left foot forward. Or if you'll turn the other way, then bring the other foot forward. Basically, you want to be turning towards your camera. So one hand and foot and knee. We're going to open up with the left arm, or the same side as your front foot, if you've got the other leg. Opening up, and then go down and reach underneath the leg. And again, open up. We're twisting through the waist. Little stretch through that hip as well. If you're more experienced, you can always take that knee off the floor if you want to. But we're opening up and winding down. Just to stretch out through the waist, stretching across the chest and through the arm and shoulder as well. We'll go one more time. Simply going to do the other side. So take the hand and knee down if it was lifted. Swap the legs over. Knee, hand and foot down and twist, opening up to the other side and come down. As I said before, if you're more experienced, you can take the knee off the floor behind you. Gently rotating through the waist and the rib cage, opening out through the chest. Breathe out to twist, breathe in to come down. We'll do one more. Take the hand and knee down. Turning to face the front now, we're going to do mini triangle. I'd like you to take both feet over to the left, foot to thigh. You're going to take right hand to the floor, left hand to the ceiling, push your hips forwards. Some people might prefer to straighten that left leg out. The idea is we're stretching out through the hip, that's all. So you decide which is better for you, on your knee or straight leg. Staying on this side, pop your bottom down. We're going to go onto the right elbow, take the left foot in hand, heel to your bottom, push the knee back and the hips forwards. Stretching through the front of the thigh. We'll do the same 2 stretches. So, take the legs over to the right, foot to thigh. Left hand to the floor. Right hand to the ceiling. Push the knees down and the hips forwards to open out through the hips. And that little add-on if you wish. Pushing the hips forwards, stretching through the chest. Coming down, take the elbow to the floor, foot in hand on the other side. quadricep stretch down the front of the thigh. Seated position, nice long legs, wriggle your bottom, simply reach forwards, drop the chin down to the chest. Depending on your flexibility, you might reach for the shins, you might reach for the feet. Some of you might be flexible enough where you can take a hold of the toes and pull them back. Drop the chin to the chest and remember to breathe. Allowing the oxygen to flood through the muscles will help them to stretch a little better. Throughout these stretches, you should still be using your core muscles to support your back. And coming up, we'll do a little twist now. So bend the left leg. If you can, if you want to, you can cross it over, but you don't have to. Hold on to that knee with the right hand. Left hand goes behind. Breathe in to lift up tall, breathe out to twist. A nice long look over your shoulder. Think of a corkscrew twisting and lifting at the same time. And release. We'll go to the other side. Only cross the leg over if it's comfy. You can keep it on the same side if you prefer. Take the right hand behind. Breathe in to lift up tall, breathe out to twist. Look over your shoulder and imagine that twist and stretch running from your tailbone, twisting its way all the way up to your crown and beyond. And release. Finally, we're going to stretch out through the spine. I want you to imagine you've got a large boulder in your lap. You're going to breathe in to lift up. Breathe out, reach up and over the boulder. So you're really lifting the tailbone out of the floor, opening out across the back of the rib cage. Do allow your shoulders to lift up this time so you can stretch underneath. Release the arms down. Sitting up tall, we'll do that once more. Breathe in. Breathe out, reach up and over that imaginary boulder. Really lifting everything out of the lower back. And drop down, give the shoulders a wiggle. Taking the arms back. If you need to adjust the legs to be more comfy, then do so. Take the arms behind, drop your chin to your chest, open out across the shoulders and the chest. There we go, everyone. Do hope you enjoyed your first Supple Strength class, or my first Supple Strength video.